I'm Suhana Bhattacharya, and this is the second season of the GoodFirms Leaders Roundtable podcast. On this podcast, we talk about different topics around technology, business, and more. So if you're new here, please consider sticking around because we have a lot to cover, especially in the second season of our podcast. And our very first episode of this season is live. And today, for the second episode, we have Anand Padia, better known as Andy. Andy is a hyperautomation expert with over 20 years of experience in product development, project management, and process optimization. Having imparted his knowledge to many, working across organizations, he's now the practice head for Department RPA Solutions at Trigent Software. Thank you so much, Andy, for joining us today on this podcast episode. Anything that you'd like to tell about Trigent Software to our audience?
Oh, for sure. Thank you, Suhana, for having me on the podcast. It is really great to be part of any tech podcast in every which way. So, Trigent as an organization has been there for 28 years and have been in the practice of helping different businesses of large and medium size to cultivate their software solutions, allow them to go ahead and mitigate any problems that they have in their delivery cycles and build the solution. So Trigent is not an RPA solution company. We are a solutions company altogether. From the whole SDLC cycle perspective for software development, we have a very strong presence for each of those stages in every aspect. We have all the spectrum of different technology groups that are covered, including Python, including PHP, including legacy. Trigent is a Microsoft Gold partner, AWS partner, and in the last 5 years, we have been doing a lot of cutting-edge solutions as well, including AI and ML.
Now, for this podcast episode, we'll be talking around robotic process automation, which is also called as RPA. And I believe it is something that I have not heard a lot. And I'm sure that is similar to many people, many audience who are listening to us. So can you please shed some light on how relevant is robotic process automation in a disruptive technology or in an environment we are living today?
Oh, for sure. So essentially, when we talk about disruptive technology, now the industry has come up with a new terminology called hyperautomation. Hyperautomation is an umbrella under which we have several technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, intelligence automation, and robotic process automation included, just to name a few. RPA, to keep it concise, RPA leverages software robots, typically referred to as bots, to emulate or mimic repetitive actions by humans, such as interacting with software applications, navigating pages, and performing calculations. So very basic stuff that will be done by human being is replicated in a programmatic manner, and that programmatic approach is called robotic process automation. And now these bots can be integrated with other systems, and that is where business benefits. This is where the technology gets disruptive. This is where you can imagine a solution where we are able to bring in multiple facets under the domain of hyperautomation and bring it all together to deliver a particular solution, be it complex or be it as simple as, financial automation for, let's say, payments processing.
That's a very comprehensive definition that you've given of what is robotic process automation and what is hyperautomation. But for a better understanding of our audience, can you discuss a scenario where RPA is actually used to streamline a business process?
Sure. Now, a retail company receives voluminous amount of invoices from their vendors and suppliers. And they don't have any control of what format these vendors are going to use for these invoices. So let's take that into consideration. Now, often this data needs to be extracted manually and entered into their CRM or ERP. PA can do optical recognition, OCR, and extract the invoice data, validate it against predefined rules, just like a human being would, and enter that validated data into the customer management systems. In case of exceptions, the system can flag it for manual review as well. The automated process generates reports and gives us analytics on the performance, the vendor performance, processing time. We can gather all of this data and visualize it better. So we can go ahead and determine vendor to vendor how everything is being worked.
So, according to what you've just said, I can already get an idea of how RPA is actually so useful in making processes simpler, more better, so that business decisions can be based on it.
For sure.
And moving forward, our audience or even new businesses or someone listening to us might be thinking of how much market size does RPA has as of now. So can you give insights on some current trends and future trends?
For sure, for sure. Well, according to recent market research by a lot of forums like Gartner and other bits as such, global RPA market or global automation market is expected to grow from $10 billion in 2025 at a CAGR rate of 42%. So it's massive. The rapid growth is driven by the factors such as increasing adoption of automation in various industries and services sector, and it is growing a need of efficiency and cost effectiveness that is booming it. What I see as trends over the next 3 to 5 years is that I see that adoption of cloud-based RPA systems is going to increase. Many companies are moving away from on-premises solutions where RPA platforms receive a lot of investment. You do a strategic investment on a platform and then stick with it. Now people are moving to a cloud-based solution so that you can be platform agnostic focus. Moving ahead, one of the other bit that I also see happening is integration with AI and machine learning. RPA is being integrated with AI and machine learning to bring about more advanced and effective solutions and processes. Now, everyone has heard of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a cognition model which can be leveraged using RPA to deliver niche solutions in every shape and form. I see that will increase over the next 5 years. People are being more dependent. People are coming forward and asking for more chatbots integrated with their ERP solutions. This integration piece is going to be handled by RPA. What I also see is the focus is going to go towards security and data integrity, right? RPA is being used for more critical and sensitive processes. And when we are using it for sensitive processes, you want to be very sure about how the data is being used, how the robot is able to save this data, where is it saving. So there are going to be more product and the industry focus initiatives and features that will be built into the systems to focus on data integrity and security. And definitely at the bottom of all of these bits, one of the key concepts of the new trend that is coming up is RPA as a service. Now, we expect to see more RPA solutions offered as a service in various industries, specifically healthcare, education, government even, which will make it more easier for companies to adopt RPA.
You did mention that RPA market is expected to grow by around $10.82 billion by 2025. Now, that's a huge number, and the points that you mentioned makes our audience a lot more aware of where RPA can be implemented. I believe that RPA works in a way where it accesses information from different systems and integrates with other applications through front-end integrations. So in such scenarios, how can companies ensure data security and compliance when implementing RPA? Because collecting data from so many places and bringing it to a particular database isn't easy. So how does company ensure data security?
For sure, for sure. So essentially, RPA projects have only two possible objectives, right? Either it is cost saving or it is about improving the quality. From all of those perspectives, ensuring data security and compliance is to the core RPA utility that has to be thought about. And companies can ensure data security and compliance from the get-go by making sure that their access controls is worked out appropriately. Now, companies can implement access controls to ensure that only authorized personnel have the accesses to the bots. So proper access control, not just to the extent of who can run the bot, but even bot governance from the perspective of how much access that the bot, so access control has to be there in place. Encryption. We have to think of encryption of data to protect the sensitive data which might be there. Taking healthcare as an example, we have to be very sure that everything that is patient record is encrypted. In that way, bot is not able to reveal anything that should not be revealed, or not saving it in a system where it should not be saved, to be sure that the compliance is intact. We should have proper auditing and logging capabilities captured. Companies can implement auditing and logging to track the actions of bot. So usually when bots are developed, what we are doing is that we are converting human actions into bot tasks. All of these task level activities has to be auditable and logged so that we are able to retrace it in case of any issues. So all of that has to be enhanced. Most of the platforms are already covering it, but I believe there is room for improvement to track it more granularly in terms of what level of system access, what roles, and other details as such. And also we have risk assessment that can be done. Companies can conduct risk assessments to identify potential security threats and vulnerabilities associated with implementing RPA. Does that cover the point? Does that cover your requirement?
I think that pretty much sums up what we've been asking, because these points like access control or encryption or risk assessment are some very important points. RPA, robotic process automation, ensures to support different kind of tasks and helps people of any level move on to more complex tasks, and they can focus on more different things. Can you discuss any pitfalls that companies may face when implementing RPA in their business process?
That's a very good question. That is really a question that comes up in all my client discussions. So in everything that I discussed earlier with regards to data security, there are several challenges that companies may face when implementing RPA. One of the key bits is integration with existing systems. Now, when I talk about existing systems, there are legacies of systems which will be there. I know organizations who are still using technology from 2000s and 1995, which are still live, because the cost of migrating to a newer application is very heavy. And that's where RPA come into play. So integrating RPA bots to existing systems and application can be a complex task. It may require significant IT resource and expertise that will have to be considered. So that is one of the problem area that may exist. The other bit is scalability. Now, because the word robotic is included in the whole RPA terminology, at times people feel that it is scalable from day one, which is a myth. It is not scalable from day one. There are a number of RPA bots and processes that definitely allows you to increase your efficiency, but you cannot scale every process horizontally and vertically. So scalability is one part of the bit that can impact your decision making. Another bit is lack of standardization. Now, this is a pitfall. Not every process in an organization is standardized. I have had discovery discussions with a lot of my clients where I ask them that, is there a standard operating procedure? Is there a SOP which is available? And for them, the SOP is, I've got Mike who handles this business, so go talk to him. Mike is the SOP. So that lack of standardization is kind of a bottleneck. If you don't have standardized processes, how do you work that out? Now you have to apply business process mapping to it, standardize that process first. Only then you can think of making it efficient. So that is definitely a big pitfall that you have to consider when going for RPA and implementing RPA. That kind of becomes a challenge for me as a RPA practice head. Change management is the excruciating factor that kind of restricts RPA initiators from expanding it or taking it to beyond our imagination in terms of getting the efficiency targets as such. People are change averse. They are always looking at it from the perspective that what will happen if RPA takes over, right? Their scare is there always in every shape. Implementing RPA can require a significant change to existing business processes. And there are going to be organizational structures that will have to be changed based on that, which can be difficult for some companies. So that is definitely something that works out as a pitfall at times. Along with that, limited flexibility. RPA bots are typically designed to follow a set of rules and instructions. If the bot is designed to go ahead and do just programmatic A, B, C in the same sequence, it will keep doing it. And that's where you gain efficiency. However, there are certain processes which will have decision matrix that keeps on changing, which needs to be programmed into the bot. If you cannot program that quickly, you do not get the flexibility. So limited flexibility at times for certain processes can become a hurdle to adopt RPA. Now, companies should carefully consider the potential challenges and have a well thought out plan to mitigate them.
Right. And one point that really stuck with me is that just because it has the word robotic, people do feel that it's going to solve problems or handle queries from day one. And it is one of the myths in the industry. So, taking that forward, can you discuss some more myths like these versus their reality of implementing RPA?
Oh, sure. There are many myths with which revolve around it. Off the top of my mind, people think that RPA is a quick fix for every problem. No, it is not. RPA requires planning and process engineering or sometimes re-engineering to realize full benefit. It is not plug and play. It requires a amount of effort. And that's why organizations like Trigent can come in handy to help you manage this, focus on it in a more strategic way, and then go from there. One of the other common myths that keeps coming up in our discussions with our potential clients is, will RPA replace human resources? The answer is no. RPA will augment resources by freeing up these resources to focus on more strategic and tactical tasks than doing any kind of mundane, repetitive work, right? One of the other myths that comes to my mind is RPA does not require any change management. It is the most, in fact, one of the bits that has happened in the past decade is RPA is initiated by change management teams, business transformation teams, right? At BFSI banking particularly, it is the change management teams, the Six Sigma guys who are bringing in RPA to improve the Sigma scores. RPA in itself is a process change. So it definitely requires change management. One of the other bits is RPA is cost saving. Well, it is not just cost saving. RPA is to streamline business processes. So there are a lot more benefits that you have with RPA going beyond the cost savings.
Okay. So thank you so much for addressing these myths. We really want this podcast to be varied kind of knowledge base for anybody looking to know more about RPA. So thank you so much for speaking out the myths. Many companies, after implementing RPA, often think that how do we actually measure the success of RPA implementation? So as a practice head of RPA Solutions at Trigent, can you please explain this, that the application of RPA is specific to a certain industry?
In a nutshell, there are ideally 4 matrices that can be brought up, right? One is return on investment. By all means, you want to gauge whether you are going to recover the cost by implementing an automated solution in every aspect. So ROI is one of the key matrices that can be used to measure RPA implementation. Other could be process completion time. Usually RPA does get implemented a lot to improve efficiency. And from that perspective, it should be the completion time or the cycle time required for a process that can be used as a matrix. So that you can go ahead and say that a human being was taking about 2 days to process a file. A bot is taking 15 minutes to process a file, something in those tangent as such. Another one will be error rates. One of the key reasons where RPA does get implemented is to avoid human errors. So why not have that error rate captured? Now, some people do it by number of bugs, number of issues raised. Some companies do it by Sigma scores. So there are different ways you can go ahead and track it. And over all of this, there is also a big checkpoint. Is the process now more compliant because you have implemented RPA? You can have much more rigid arrangement using RPA that will not allow people to inadvertently make mistakes and be a non-compliant system against, let's say, HIPAA or SOC 2 or something. So from those perspectives, you can have a compliance measurement or compliance alignment be a success matrix for RPA implementation.
Thank you so much for sharing these points. By evaluating these metrics, which you just mentioned, I'm sure many companies will be able to measure the success of it. So up until now, we have discussed what is RPA and what is the market size, what are the challenges, what are the success metrics. So with all these conversations, we did realize that the RPA adoption rate is rapidly increasing. and this industry is about to grow a lot by 2025 and even later. This means there is an immense demand for the best RPA development firm anywhere in the world. Please let us know how GoodFirms helped you beat the competition and help Trigent Software emerge as the best.
Oh, for sure. Well, Trigent is a technology solution company wherein RPA is employed to maximize the automation of processes used in conjunction with our client's digital strategy, right? In the whole game of digital transformation, RPA can be the entrant altogether to propel our customers to do things better, faster, quickly. This allows our client by far to get complete advantage of our partnership. Again, it goes back to my definition of what Trigent is all about. We are a solution company, and RPA is one of our offering that propels that digital strategy in every aspect. Our customers do not have to worry about limitation of platform because we are platform agnostic. Now, where GoodFirms helps us, by just being listed on GoodFirms, it will help us gain credibility in every aspect. It'll increase the trust among our potential clients. It will allow them, because of the efforts of GoodFirms by the medium of this podcast itself, they'll be able to stay updated with latest trends and insights, not just limited to RPA, but every aspect of the technology industry, connect with other leading companies in the market, and identify how Trigent can be one of the partners that they can take advantage of. I believe by just getting listed with GoodFirms and being part of these podcasts, we would be able to present ourselves to be good enough. And then it'll be up to the clients to go ahead and wait out and see how Trigent is the best.
Right. Thank you so much, Andy, for sharing your valuable insights. We've had such a good conversation around robotic process automation, and I'm sure our audience, whether new entrepreneurs or developers listening to us, they'll be able to know a lot about this technology. And I believe that AI ML is being talked about a lot in the area of disruptive technologies, but RPA is not getting that kind of due attention which it needs to get.
I agree. In fact, thank you for having me on this platform, because as a RPA advocate, it is definitely one of the hurdles that I have to face in every prospect calls that we have. IML gets a lot of attention. RPA does not, only because RPA is a technology that can use to catapult these AI/ML solutions and present it in the hands of the end customers, delivering better efficiency, better in all way, better access to the systems, right? ChatGPT is a very clear example of automation solution. The actual model is a natural language model. It has nothing to do with the capabilities that people are using it for. Everyone is using it in every shape and form, and it has been picking up the trends like no other solution as of now. That's the only technology advancement that people are talking about, and it is automation to the core of it.
That was Anand Padia as a practice head for the Department RPA Solutions at Trigent Software. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.